with the millions.
It's that world heavyweight flow. Championship belt wrapped around my waist, yo. I got that Ric Flair figure flow. Slam you on the pavement, that's why they call me street pro. Create heat on beat flow. Like Jordan after the second time he three-peated, folks. Get ready, set, let's go. Fight toe to toe, release the flow created by this mic pro. Lights, camera, get low. Action packed, back to back, in fact this monster will grow. Y'all better let him know. Man with the master plan and you have no need to know. You came prepared, now get ready for the show.
Sports Professor. Oh, shit. Yo, what up, friends? You know who it is. It is Omar, the Professor Fonseca, with Ball and Bud Sports and Entertainment, here with my professors, Semanalmente. I like doing that early enough because no one's really in here, so I can do it for as long and loud as I want to. Anyways, I see people starting to come in. So again, thank you for joining. I am Omar, the Professor Fonseca. Make sure you are subscribed at Ball and Buds, BALLANDBUDS. There's also a little handy QR code at the top of the screen that you can use to find all of our socials. Subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, and all the other great action that we have going on. So again, thank y'all for joining in the Professor Semanalmente. Today we will be going through a little bit of sports news. We're getting into the lighter section of the sports world with football almost done. So we'll talk about the national championship, what happened last week. We'll also talk about what happened in the football this weekend and what that will lead towards in the Super Bowl. And then as well, we'll also talk some entertainment world news as we usually do, but we're going to go light on that today because we have a very special guest joining us today for a third time on this program. He is our political strategist, Amul Madan, Washington, D.C. insider. We're happy to have him back on today. We'll bring him on around 7:30-ish, and we'll do an interview on Donald Trump's first week in office, and we'll go over some of those executive actions and other things that were talked about in the first week. So again, thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Let me fix my screen here for a second. There we go. All right, get me nice and center. All right, cool. Let's kick this bad boy off. All right. First of all, you know how we do it. You see the cap. You see it. So let me hit you with a little cold open. Yesterday, my mom, my angel, she went with me because I didn't have nobody to go with me to the game to watch the number one UCLA Bruins women's basketball team face the number 8 Maryland Lady Terrapins. What an amazing game. We did a little bit of reporting, me and my mom, so I'm going to throw that on there, and I'll show the first half now and the second half later. But it was a great game. UCLA obviously dominated. You see the Caps still number 1 in the nation. Check out a little bit of this video. And so what we're at the beginnings of the battles, the annals of college
Fonseca, the Professor.
We're at the University of Maryland, UCLA Bruins. I'll leave you off with Testudo dancing a little bit. I just wanted to show you the beginning of that. We'll come back to that throughout the program. But yeah, did some reporting from there. Lauren Betts, absolute domination for the UCLA Bruins. So let's get into that. Our women's college basketball power rankings for the week. Again, last night, UCLA Lady Bruins defeated the Maryland Lady Terrapins 82-67 off of an amazing game by Lauren Betts. Lauren Betts is the best player in the country, in my opinion. Might be a little biased there. You got Paige Beckers, you got Juju Watkins, you got some others out there that are really good. But Lauren Betts is just a dominant force in the post. She's bigger than everybody else. No one can really guard her at all. She dominates as real, grabbing the boards. She's a great outlet passer, kind of like Kevin Love for a big girl, for a big tall girl. Not, you know what? Let's not get any further into that. That's not what I meant. Anyways, UCLA is now 20-0. I firmly believe they are going to win the championship this year. So then I can say I saw another one of my teams live when they won the championship. At number 2, the South Carolina Lady Gamecocks. They have already been beaten by UCLA this year, but would be the most formidable opponent for UCLA to see in the championship. You also have Notre Dame, 17-2 in your number 3 spot. At number 4, the FUSC Trojan Condoms at 18-1. If we see them, I would make some other sounds. Actually, oh wait, I got one. I forgot. I keep forgetting to have this soundboard. You going down, FUSC? Anyways, and then at number 5, Hot Take Jake's Lady Longhorns from Texas with a 20-2 record. UConn is right there, 19-2 at number 6, and LSU as well. Kim, what is her? Malarkey? Not Malarkey. That's a Joe Biden word. That's hilarious. Why am I blanking on her last name right now? Kim, the coach for LSU, the great coach. I don't know why I'm blanking on her name. 21-1. Anyways, they are there. Moving on to men's college basketball. Number 1, Auburn, still holding the top spot. They now got Joni Brown back, and he is their best player. He's going to be the national basketball player of the year, most likely this year. They are at 18-1 in the number 1 position. Duke, with Cooper Flagg, the number 1 presumptive number 1 NBA pick, at 17-2 there in the number 2 spot. Iowa State Cyclones at number 3. Then you got the Alabama Clemson Tide at number 4 with a 17-3 record. And then rounding out the top 5 are the Florida Gators with an 18-2 record. That is your men's college basketball rankings for the week. We move into NHL rankings for the week. Number 1, here in the DMV, the Commanders may have gone down, and we will talk about that here in a few minutes, but the Capitals are reigning on top of the NHL power rankings, sitting at the number 1 spot with 32 wins, 10 losses, and 5 ties. We all know, as we've talked about here on this program, the OV watch is on, chasing after Gretzky. It does not look like, after he's had a few games without a goal now, that he is going to break that record this year, but he would definitely return next year to break the record. So eventually, God forbid any injuries, he will break that record. As a Gretzky fan, the great one, I don't personally want him to break it, but I've always said if anyone was going to break it, I'd rather it be Ovechkin because I'm from here and I know how much he means to this city and how good of a player he is. So number 2, your Winnipeg Jets, 32 wins, 14 losses, 3 draws. The Vegas Golden Knights at 29 wins, 14 losses, 4 draws. At number 4, the Edmonton Oilers, 29 wins, 15 losses, 3 draws. And at number 5, the Toronto Maple Leafs, 30 wins, 17 losses, and 2 draws. Moving on to your NBA power rankings for the week. The number 1 team this week, according to NBA.com, is the Oklahoma City Thunder with a 37-8 record. SGA went off the other day, having 54, just dropping it on the head. SGA right now is locked in a tight battle with Jokic, and if Jokic wasn't having the best season of his career, which is hard to say with the past few seasons, this would be all SGA's award, but we're going to see how it goes down the stretch. I am super, super excited to see that, and actually I want to break that down for y'all real quick. I went out and procured the statistics for these 2 gentlemen that are in our NBA MVP race. And so I kind of just wanted to break it down a little bit. So let's first look at SGA. So SGA is averaging, as of the All-Star voting, end of the All-Star voting last Tuesday, this is when I got these stats, 31.5 points per game, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds on 53% shooting field goal. Now, his three-point percentage is obviously something that needs to be improved and has been a bugaboo for him so far in his young career. But, man, he is doing everything that you would want your star player, your star guard, to do. And he has a true shooting percentage of 64%. and he would be the first player to average 31, 6, and 5 with that true shooting percentage of 64. Better. The Oklahoma City are 19 points better when he's on the floor versus negative 0.6 points when he's off. So that pretty much proves how valuable he is to that team. Looking at Jokic is no shab at all here. Listen to this. Technically he's a center, so he's going to have more rebounds anyways, but he even has more assists than SGA. He's averaging 4 more assists than SGA, 10 assists a game, and 13 rebounds. Wow. Just the fact that Jokic has had multiple MVP awards over the past few years and just continues to get better is just mind-blowing, because I didn't think that a person of, and I say this with all due respect and love, sir, I love your game, ain't the most athletic looking. Obviously, he's very athletic and very graceful and strong, but from the looks of him, right, he's not the most athletic looking person. So to be able to do what he does is otherworldly, in my opinion. Denver is plus 12.5 with him on the floor. And listen to this, minus 11 points when he's on the bench. That is a 33-point differential versus shy SGA's, which is only 19. Also, Jokic as a center, the non-athletic, as we said, center, although he is just not looking, is second. I repeat, second in the league in 3-point shooting for a center. Mind blown. Yeah, thank you, Little John. Say it again. Yes. Houston Rockets coming in at number 2 in the number 2 spot with a 30 wins and 14 losses. At number 3, the Cleveland Cavaliers, 36 wins and 9 losses. They actually lost 3 straight games for the first time this season, so that's what's knocked them down a little bit in our rankings. At number 4, my Boston Celtics with 32 wins, 14 losses. And at number 5, the Memphis Grizzlies, 31 wins, 15 losses. Those are your NBA standings. Thank y'all for tuning in. Yes, make sure you hit that like button if you are watching. Appreciate the support. Help us out there in the algorithm as well. Make sure you subscribe to Ball and Buds, BALLANDBUDS. We will have our political strategist, Amul Madan, on here in about 15 minutes or so. Let me get through the sports and entertainment. WNBA offseason, a blockbuster 3-team trade. The Seattle Storm are trading 6-time All-Star Jewel Lloyd to the former back-to-back champion Las Vegas Aces, who are sending out Kelsey Plum to the Los Angeles Sparks. The Storm will receive the number 2 pick in the draft for trading away Jewel Lloyd. This is a crazy deal because this will be the first time in WNBA history, that a trade has involved multiple number 1 round picks when you're looking at Jewel Lloyd and you're looking at Kelsey Plum. Now, one of the reasons this is a bigger trade is not just because they're 2 great players and 2 former number 1 picks, but there was a lawsuit filed by Jewel Lloyd and her camp against the Seattle Storm, alleging harassment and bullying, but the judgment came back after an internal investigation and found no wrongdoing by the organization. And at that point, that relationship is kind of, in splinters at that point, and they did what they had to do, and they traded, a great player to a team that it's only going to make them better. Now Jewel Lloyd goes to join Asia Wilson, Chelsea Gray, and Jackie Young. Las Vegas is just looking to go back again and win another title, which will be their 3rd since 2022. So Mark Davis is doing it for the Aces, but can't do it for the damn Raiders. Come on, Mark. Get it in gear. You got Tom Brady. You got TV there now. All right, I won't call him Tom Shady anymore, I promise, as long as y'all get it done and get something popping. I don't know what Pete Carroll's expected to do with Basuda, with Booty Juice. You can't turn coal into a diamond. You got to be able to have the stuff that, well, I mean, I guess they say pressure. Anyways, you know what? You know what I mean. You need pieces. And we don't have the pieces for Pete Carroll to do anything. So I don't know what's happening there. Moving on. That's a crazy trade. Props to Las Vegas for getting a playmaker and moving it up there. 11-year-old. There is an 11-year-old. I will decline to say his name on this program for being an underage human being, and I don't want to be putting anyone's government names out there. There was an 11-year-old boy who pulled a 1-of-1 MLB debut patch card for Paul Schemes. What happened is they're now creating these new cards. When you make your debut as a rookie, they'll take a piece of your jersey and they put it into with an autograph into cards. These are the most sought after new cards on the market. And so this 11-year-old pulled this card, and the Pirates offered him this Godfather offer. Now, the problem with the Godfather offer is in order to want to take it, first you have to be a Pirates fan, which I don't believe he is because I think he's from California. The other thing is you have to live in Pittsburgh because a lot of the perks are game tickets and season tickets. And if I live all the way in California, how the hell am I supposed to use season tickets to the Pirates? And why would I? No, the kid did the smart thing. His parents have given him the right advice. He will be sent to auction instead. I'm sure he will get some of that, and then some of the proceeds will also be donated to the LA Fire Relief Funds. So shout out to that 11-year-old boy for not only getting his own bag, but making sure that he's helping out others in the process. And we still send our prayers to all those in LA with those wildfires still kicking up. A couple more news notes before we bring in our special guest, Amul Madan, here at about 7:30. We got the MLB Hall of Fame. Yes, the 3 inductees last week. If you remember, I did I showed you at least my picks for the Hall of Fame. And I had picked 7 different people to come up to the Hall of Fame. And I want to bring up that ballot again so you can see that. But you can see this is my ballot here on the right-hand side. And so who was selected here? We had CC Sabathia got in. We had Billy Wagner on his last ballot getting in. Both of those gentlemen I did select as well. And let me have a quick word. I know Ichiro said he wanted a word, maybe at dinner. I think I want a quick word first, my friend. Let me help you out, Ichiro. Let me get your back here. To the one voter that thinks you're a funny guy. You think you're real cute, huh? I know our guest Amul and myself popped when the voter did this to Derek Jeter a few years ago, even though that shouldn't have happened either, if we're being completely honest. But as Red Sox and Mets fans, we can highly appreciate the pettiness involved in the exercise of being the one voter to leave Jeter off. But to leave the utterly loved Ichiro Suzuki from being the first unanimous player ever? No. And if my mom wasn't watching this show and I was on a different show, I would curse some right now. But I'm going to go ahead and leave that out. Just know that I am highly, highly pissed off to the top forms of pistivity for my man Ichiro, who should have been unanimously selected. So to you, you puny little puke geek sitting there behind your computer hating on Ichiro, maybe a Rangers fan, maybe an Astros fan, I don't know, someone hating on him, I hope you actually bring your name up and don't sit behind the ballot the rest of your life, because you deserve to be outed. And I hope when Ichiro brings you over to the house, it's really for one of those Yakuza meetings, and we'll really see how you like to not vote unanimously. Now, that will not be a threat from myself. I'm just saying. But on that note, since my buddy is here, we're going to bring him in a little early because I do want to get his thoughts on this anyways. So he is an avid baseball fan as well, so it seems like the perfect time to bring him in. Our political strategist and a good friend of mine, Mr. Amul Madan. What is going on, brother? How are we doing, my friend?
How's it going? Give me just a second. Sorry, I know you brought me on earlier. I was trying to pair my headphones.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm going to go ahead and let you, while you're pairing your headphones, go ahead and let us know how you feel about this Ichiro not being unanimously selected.
Can I pair my headphones first? Because I'm gonna go on a bit of a 3 to 5 minute rant, and
Yeah.
I want to be sure that what I say is accurately heard and reflected. There you are.
I
Come
like
back
it.
to me.
And
Come back.
so what
Come
I'm
on,
gonna
come on and pair. There we go.
I like it.
Okay.
Oh, you got a
Can
pair.
you hear me?
Oh, I can. There we go. All right.
I can hear you now. You there?
I'm here, my
Okay.
friend.
So here's the thing. What was this person thinking? Did he have a bet? Like, I'm not a betting man, you know this. But did he decide he woke up and was like, today is the day I'm going to choose violence.
Just violence. He just
And
wanted to
I'm not going to
massacre.
go after him. I'm not going to go after him too much, but as agile coaches, we're taught to see where the find the empathy, and figure out where the other person is coming from. I realize everyone has a hard day. I myself had a hard day. And
I hope that's what it was.
It was a very hard day at work, and I was very grateful when you texted me and was like, oh, well, would you like to come on? I need your expertise. But why? Just what is his major malfunction? I hate to quote an old teacher of ours, but what is he doing? He would be the first unanimous person to go into the Hall of Fame. Why would you do that? Why would you be like, yeah, no, I like Randy Johnson better because he wore 51 beforehand. So, I'm going to go ahead and choose violence there.
So now I'm going to go back to something I said real quick. As a Red Sox fan and as a Mets fan,
yes,
I can see the pettiness and hate in the Yankees and Jeter not getting it, because a lot of people, including not just our teams, hate the Yankees just for, the evil empires. So I could see that. But this,
right,
as you're stating, I just can't see.
On some level, we respect the Yankees, at least. On some level. Like the classic, Jeter, Mariano Rivera, we can nod, we can tip our caps. That's fine. This cat, is he a Diamondbacks fan? Is he sad that the Quebec Nordiques are no longer in Quebec and that the Phoenix Coyotes went ahead? I'm going to just roast the guy if I can.
Please, he deserves it.
I understand that everybody goes through things, goes through life. I myself, we were playing with house money, my Commanders, but that's a different story. I know you've already covered that mostly.
No, we're going to get to that in just a second after this, actually.
Okay, sure. Let's do that too. But he shouldn't have been unanimous. I was a little sad. Little side note that both Pedroia and, I can understand Manny not making it in, but I was a little sad that Pedroia didn't get a vote. But maybe the next time. So, and I also saw your ballot. I saw your ballot, and I was sad that there were no Red Sox. I was very sad to hear that you didn't even show one bit of love.
Well, this is the thing. As you saw, I also did not even vote in my own captain. My captain David Wright. I did not vote him in because you and I are both baseball purists. And
yes,
I am of the aspect that this is not the Hall of the Great. This is the Hall of Fame. And in order to be in the Hall of Fame, you need to be the top of the top, the mountain
yes, you do.
Of the greats.
Yes, you do.
So people like Wright, Utley, Pedroia, Rollins, they're great. They're amazing, but they're not next level. They're not Griffin. They're not Ichiro. They're not Mickey Mantle. Right. Yeah. So, and the other thing with Manny Ramirez, that's a problem that we've already gone into, and the voters are going to have a problem in the future, is that you haven't started letting those steroid era players in. So now any of them that were presumed to be involved or even accused to be involved can't be let in, like a Manny Ramirez, even though he was never actually caught.
Well, Manny also, you went for the home runs. I still remember, I don't know if I asked you, but I'd asked at least 5 or 10 of my friends if they wanted to go back when he played. And I think only 3 people showed up to see him hit his 500, three of my friends. There were a lot of other people at Camden Yards, but only three of my friends. Like it felt weird that not many people wanted to see him of my friend group. But the guy who didn't vote Ichiro unanimously should receive a 5-year ban on voting. And,
agreed. I like that. I like that.
With an option of 5 more. And
you have to submit a provisional ballot, and if we don't like your first ballot back, you get banned another 5 years.
It has to be vetted, not only by myself but by the commissioner of baseball, and he has to take a stand on.
Worst commissioner in sports.
Yes. Worst commissioner. Not even over Bettman too. Over Bettman.
That's horrible. If you can do that, that's bad. If you can do that. Bettman looks good to other people over Manfred.
Do you even watch the NHL? Do you even watch the NHL All-Star game? Because I know I don't. I only watch the NBA. So.
Well, you're not going to see it this year because they're replacing it with a 4 Nations tournament this year.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's fine. Yeah, it is what it is.
All right, well, let's move it on to football. Let's talk about those Commanders before we get into the actual Super Bowl game. This weekend, we did have 2 conference championship games. Oh, and before I say that, because I know we're not going to get into it later, I do not want to forget and to give the props. And we did this on the Bottom Line Sports. But shout out to the Ohio State Buckeyes who beat up on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Also, I picked them as the champions before the season started, so that's my second pick in a row. That's why they call me the sports professor. So shout out to the Ohio State for winning the national championship. I just want to make sure I stated that before we move on because I know we're not going to get back to it after this. That being said, all right.
Congrats.
So, yes, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. So we're having a little bit of delay. So if I talk over you, it's not because I'm trying to. It's because I think we're having a little bit of a delay. By the way, pull your camera down a little bit so we can see that beautiful face of yours.
So you can see the Tuskegee Airman
I like it.
that I'm wearing that we will cover at some point.
Hey.
It's a very topical thing. By the way, sorry, early. I think you wanted me to jump on earlier or at some point, but I had a stomach bug or we were going to get together or something. So sorry about that. So
no.
Yeah.
You're good. No. I'm glad you're feeling better. It actually worked out better for you to come on this week because last week with the national championship, I had to make it a abbreviated show because I had to be quicker to get off. So, all right. Well, anyways, yesterday we saw 2, one not as great, but one good game, thrilling game. And we'll start first with the humble pie that is coming to you and all the other DMV residents. Although
it's not that humble.
Is it not?
I'm not. I'll tell you why.
Okay, please do.
We were in elementary school the last time the Redskins and the Redskins/Commanders were relevant. Mm-hmm. All due respect to Gibbs and his second turn when he was coach, but the aforementioned Commanders were last relevant 1991, 1992.
Agreed.
We were kids. I had thicker glasses back then. And had to see closer to the board. That's where we are, ladies and gentlemen. For those watching that are like, do I remember you in elementary school? You should.
Picture Millhouse circa 1990.
I was a little better looking than Millhouse, but thank you.
I give you that. You were definitely our Millhouse, though, and we loved you for it.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I still can't believe he calls me that, ladies and gentlemen. He hasn't thought of a better nickname in 30 years' time. Anyway,
you know what? It's our childhood one, so it works.
Yeah, I know. It's been 33 years. We were playing with house money after we won the first game. I was already okay and knew that, like, I was mentally prepared that we may lose the second game. we may lose a game against Philly. So I definitely didn't think that we were going to beat the Lions. So just to be happy that we made it this far. Do we need an O-line? Absolutely. We need an O-line the same way we need to bring back Rigo in his prime. Or Ernest Biner. Give me Ernest Biner if Rigo's
Hey, yeah, there you go.
Do we need another receiver out next to Terry McLaurin? Absolutely. Do we need depth pieces? For sure. We did really well this season. For a rebuilding season, if this is what's considered rebuilding, I will take it happily. Because
and you're not the first Commanders fan I'm hearing this from. This is a constant theme I'm hearing. A year ahead of time, 2 years ahead of time. We'll take what we were able to get. We got one of the best quarterbacks in the league that is going to run the roost in the NFC for the next 10 years.
I mean, that's the hope. If he gets an O-line in front of him, he can do anything. Did I wince when he bent his leg backwards slightly? I think it was against the Lions game. Yeah, I did, because I thought we were gonna have another RG3 situation on our hands. Yeah. But I want to say this, and this is something that I've said on various socials. You may have seen it. I didn't think we'd ever get where we were. I genuinely didn't think that post Snyder we would ever be this good.
Wow. Okay. Ever.
Wow. Because we are so used to mediocrity. The Wizards still, like, they have an advanced. That's true. Like, when the Caps and the Nats eclipse you in terms of championships, and the Commanders are now, they're rebuilding. But, I'll say this sincerely, that I hope your Raiders get to this level. I know that Pete Carroll was playing quarterback, for some reason, because he maybe wanted to show to Gardner Minshew what chops he had. I don't know why he was playing quarterback. But I hope you guys get to the same level, because it just, I don't know, it's nice. It's nice to think of the Commanders and be like, okay, yeah, they're going to be something. Like, I didn't order any Commanders gear until a couple weeks ago. Like, it's still stuck in Texas, I think, because of the snowstorm. But I'm very, it's nice to relive 91 again. It's nice to relive 92, and we'll see what happens next. As long as we draft that.
Yeah, now I do want to say some things, because yes, you're exactly right. And after the Lions win, especially, a lot of the Commanders fans were coming up to me, man, Omar, this is all you need. See, all you need is a quarter. I'm like, yeah, tell me about that. Like, I didn't know all we needed. I know we need a quarterback. Ever since Jafat ass Russell came in, drinking his syrup, not watching his tapes, I know that we need a quarterback. But the problem is that we can't draft properly. And that's what I call him. But anyways, would I love a Patrick Mahomes? Sure. Would I love a Jaden Daniels? Sure. Are we going to get a quarterback this year? Probably not. Are we marching for Arch? We're march for Arch, baby. Let's go.
That's fine. Don't root for a Pat Mahomes, though. Pat Mahomes cheats. Look, we all know that.
And so we'll get to that. We'll get to that in just a second. Hold on. We'll get to that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to jump.
No. We'll get to that in just a second, though. I do want to go through through both games, though, real quick. So the Commanders, 55-23 was the loss to the Eagles, while the Buffalo Bills, heartbreaking loss, which we will talk about everything that happened there at the end of the game, which you just alluded to. We will talk about that. But first of all, let's go ahead and look at the Eagles win. Saquon Barkley took his first touch for 60 yards. He had 122 yards and 3 TDs. He is my MVP pick for the season. I don't know if you agree with me, but by far, I think that since he's over 2,000 yards, only the 9th running back in history to go over 2,000 yards, may set the single-season record, has carried this team on his back. Your other two are quarterbacks who, as great as they are, just didn't put up a superlative season like Saquon Barkley did. So how do you feel about that?
I'm fine with it. Give Jane the Rookie of the Year. Give Saquon MVP. That first play was directly out of Madden. And anyone who says otherwise never played Madden growing up. Like, that's direct play, like, out of Madden. I think he rightfully ran us over. He didn't need to jump over anyone. we could just got out of the way. It was like, sir, please, by all means, run down the field. By all means. I'm sitting there going, like, can you tackle somebody? Can you do something? And it's okay that we got double. This was remember back in the day when Jordan hung double nickels against the Knicks. Yeah, yes. This was the Eagles double nickel game.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah. And so let's see if they can hang the same amount. If they can give us another double nickel game against the Chiefs.
Now the other thing about this team is that for pretty much the whole year, everyone was crapping on Nick Sirianni as a horrible coach, and Jalen Hurts as not being able to be able to carry a team and not being able to actually be a passing quarterback. And these narratives around these two all year don't prove to hold true when you look at their winning percentage, which both of them together have a 69% winning percentage and have gone to 2 Super Bowls now in 4 years. So how are people still saying that about this duo?
Because people want to say stuff, and I think you and I have talked about this before. People want to say stuff to anger other individuals. Let's be frank and honest here for a second. Sirianni has been pretty decent. If you want to talk about a coach in the NFC East, I've even blanked on the dude's name, not the coach, but the GM. Call up the Giants GM. He's been awful, like the last few years.
Yeah, for Sirianni or something like that.
Yeah, Sirianni has been a really, and I've got a really good friend of mine who's in the photography community that I'm a part of. So we all love hearing this. Sirianni has been a really good coach, a really decent coach. I wouldn't be opposed to at some point him being named coach of the year if that's what they want to, they want to go in that way. If they want to, lean that way. But in all honesty, like he's done everything he can to lead his Eagles to, back-to-back 2 Super Bowls in 4 years. You can't ask for anything. You really can't.
You really can't. And that's what I keep trying to tell people. And Hot Take Jake and I were talking about this on the Bottom Line Sports last night. We're sick of the Sirianni, slander. It just doesn't make any sense when they're not you, but like the mainstream media. On the other side of things, as we mentioned, this was Washington a year early. They were not expected
a couple years early.
There a couple years early, right? Just like the Orioles, right? In their first conference title game in 30 years. So really good season for them. On the other side, though, the Bills. The poor Bills. God bless. First, they lose 4 Super Bowls in the 90s, including one to you all in the aforementioned 1992 Super Bowl. And three wide rights from Scott Norwood. Now they have one of the best teams in sports for the past 5 years since Josh Allen came into the league, and they can't get past their arch nemesis, Patrick Mahomes, and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, they're
running into a red and yellow wall.
They're speaking of red and yellow walls. Wow, that's a conversation we'll have to get into later, I suppose. But with what's been going on, wasn't it the Chiefs who couldn't get past the Patriots when Brady was still around?
That's true. Yeah, there was a couple times they could not. Yeah.
I would love the Bills to get past the Chiefs at some point. But I think a bigger story, and I referenced this earlier, is the blatant cheating that the refs are doing, calling plays for them. And, I mean, go ahead and call me out. Go ahead and call me out saying that isn't the case. Why are there videos then of people who talking about the different refs that are assigned and how like one ref is, I think it's Sean Hockley, who's like 7-0 when he refs when the Chiefs are 7-0 when he refs a game.
Huh, okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, they're also 7-0 just they're undefeated in the playoffs mostly, anyways. Though, so that's not.
I mean, really but it's whoever anytime Hockley refs one of their games, they magically win for whatever reason. Like
It's like the opposite of Chris Paul and NBA ref. What's his name? Every game that he refs for Chris Paul, they lose. Scott.
Oh yeah,
Scott,
that's right.
Scott, whatever
That's
his name
right.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, Scott Foster.
Scott Foster. Scott Foster. Yes, Scott Foster.
Scott Foster.
Yeah.
But I would like the Bills to, to get over the hump. I'd love for them to win a Super Bowl in our lifetime. I really would. Hopefully, they don't face your Raiders to do it, and they don't face my Commanders.
I would hope
to do
just
it.
for their fans, because I know a lot of Bills fans that are personally mired in their own personal hell due to the red, the hated red. I'm like a bull when I see Kansas City. I just turn into just fumes come out of my nose, and I just want to hurt everything that says Kansas City.
Anyways, it's what Goodell wants. It's what Goodell wants.
And you know what? I keep having to say this because the people are talking about the black magic and the refs and all that. And yes, there could be some validity to that because, of course, when you have a cash cow like a Brady, a cash cow like a Mahomes, teams like this in the league, you are going to want them to succeed because it brings more eyes, more money, so on and so forth to your league and to the rest of the people involved. So, of course, that's something you want. But, of course, people are going to not only get fatigued at the fact that this team is winning over and over, but that they're going to develop the hate that they develop with these teams where these things, these conspiracy theories, whether they're true or not, or whether there is validity to it or not, are sprung up because people can only see what is put in front of them. And when you have these plays like a first down last night where Josh Allen looks to clearly get over the fourth down line, and before that, even Dalton Kincaid was close enough, and they still spotted the ball a whole yard back. Like those are things where people look and say, "Okay, well, what's really going on now?"
Right. It's a whole. I'm going to call it an epidemic of refs that just it's the ref show. They just want the same thing happens when I go to Caps games. The Caps just, you call it a boarding call or a boarding penalty when, it clearly wasn't boarding or tripping when it wasn't tripping. Stop it. You're getting paid enough. And if we did the same thing, we'd be shown the door. But, are you watching the Super Bowl? Because I will, but I'm going to be waiting for Kendrick Lamar, more or less.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to watch because I'm just a football fan, and I know that football will go away for 9 months after that. I mean, when not the XFL, I'm a degenerate, so I'll watch the UFL too. But so I'm definitely going to watch it.
You'll watch the LFL if it's on. You'll watch the.
I was in an XFL fantasy league, so that's how deep it gets for me.
He missed the LFL comment, ladies and gentlemen. It's okay. Yeah, it's the Lady Football League. There was or is an LFL at some point, or there was.
Well, first of all, it wasn't called the Lady Football League. I don't know if that got changed after the Me Too movement, but it was called the Lingerie Football League.
Lingerie Football League. My apologies. My bad.
I know, because I attended plenty of the Nashville Lingerie Football team games when I first moved here.
Good Lord.
I had free tickets, so why not? All right. So, but to talk about this, so when you do have someone as good as Patrick Mahomes, who now is entering his Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, Derek Jeter, Stephen Curry, whoever else you want to talk about, all the greats, when they get into that stage where they're in their prime, heading into the final stages, but still humming along at a great rate. This is where the dynasties really come into play. And I was saying this the other day, and some people disagree with me, but some people agreed that even though because in my personal definition of a dynasty, you have to win 3 titles in a row, but that's very hard to do in football. With what the Chiefs have done, going to 4 Super Bowls over 5 years, possibly going for a three-peat, I think that they are already a dynasty, regardless if they win this one or not.
Yeah, I would say that's fair. I would say they're a dynasty. I do not think my first blush in this is I do not think that they'll win. I think that the Eagles might pull it off.
Hey, there you go. We got a little prediction. All right.
Mostly because of Saquon. I'm sorry. We're going to go back to the Commanders game for a second. I was watching that, and I saw the first play from scrimmage, and I was like, yep, sounds about right. And then he did it again, and I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. You're playing Madden at this point. And then the third time, it was like, okay, now you're just showing off. Like, if he does that against the Chiefs, like, they don't need to do anything else. But yes, the Chiefs have a dynasty for sure. And we don't know how long Kelsey is going to be around. Apparently, Jason Kelsey is saying, I don't know if you heard this on his show, but in between his show that Jason was saying that Kelsey may not have like that many years left to play. So, I mean, make of that what you will, but
I'm going to make of it that he's going to stay with Patrick Mahomes until Patrick Mahomes is ready to retire. Obviously, he is a little older, so at some point he may have to be forced out due to father time. But I don't foresee him leaving a dynasty on his own volition. Now, his brother was a whole different ball game. Why his brother quit? I thought his brother should have stayed another year and he'd be in the Super Bowl again this year. So I think he called it a year too early. But hey, you got to live with the choices that you make in that regard. What I would say though is that the NFL definitely wouldn't let Travis Kelce retire as long as him and Taylor Swift are still dating. And let's go ahead and bring this up right now because I made a series of shorts about this, and everybody should go back, go to the Ball and Buds YouTube channel, Ball and Buds, BALLANDBUDS. While you're there, make sure you smash that subscribe button like the kids say, but go watch the shorts that I did. I did a 4-part series on Taylor Swift in the NFL, and I explained everything, and I went into all the conspiracy theories, and I went into all of how I see things and what I'm hearing, and how that because of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce dating, that they are trying to help the Chiefs. I'm not going to accuse them of whatever, but just like we know that David Stern handed Patrick Ewing to the Knicks and Tim Duncan to the Spurs, right? We know that
you had to bring David Stern into it, huh? You had to bring David Stern into it, huh? But no. And then the frozen envelopes. Yeah, okay, I get it. I get what you're talking about.
And so, Flo, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate that. Bottom Line Sports. Y'all check us out tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern on Ball and Buds, or join the Bottom Line Sports Facebook group. He thinks Kelsey will retire if they win this Bowl. If they win another one, possibly. But again, I don't see.
The refs will help.
They probably would. But I just don't see the value. I just don't see the value in that. If you have Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift still together, and you have all the eyes, and you can continue to keep bringing Taylor Swift back to games in the future, this is a thing that you continue to do until it runs out of legs. And this has been spurred on by the NFL. The relationship and everything. This has all been concocted. This is all a scheme to obviously leverage the fame of the biggest pop star in the world.
It is, and it's going to get even crazier if the Bills make it again next year, because Josh Allen is engaged to Haley Steinfeld. So now you're putting Haley against Taylor, and I don't know if anyone wants to do that, or if we want to debate that now.
I like how you bring how you help to bring some of that pop culture element to my show.
I had to.
Because I appreciate that, because that story I was actually going to break a few weeks ago, but I didn't have time to break it on my show, so I'm glad you did, because that's another one, right, that they could start to move into. They could also start to run a Josh Allen, Haley Steinfeld kind of play in the future.
They could.
But and shout out to my brother Wildcard Mar. He is a Chiefs fan. I know he's hella excited. We had a show this past weekend going over to preview the AFC and NFC championships, so thank you for tuning in. He does not agree with all the talk about the cheatery and the black magic and the refs and the team. He does not agree. He thinks that, and I mean, obviously he may be a little biased, but he thinks that they are just a good team. And that's the other side of this, right? Is that they are a great team. They went undefeated in all 10 home games, including postseason. Yeah, they may have now won the past 17 wins by one score, which is amazing. That's crazy. That can even happen. They won 7 games in a row by one score.
They keep teams in games. I saw a stat that someone was like, why are you, you should write off the Chiefs dynasty. And I listen because, it's good to listen sometimes. And they were like, well, the Chiefs have, kept teams like the Raiders in games once, every game, like it's their one win, one play away. And, usually the other team makes a couple mistakes and the Chiefs win, or the refs help them out. So, I mean, an argument could be made in that regard as well. I don't know how many of those. Sorry, I'm reading the comments as they're coming in.
No, you're good. You're good. First, shout out GB. Thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, GB.
That's my people. That's my people's
Yeah.
right there. He said, I don't know how the Bills fans reacted in this game, but they're not as mad this year. Last year with the 13-second debacle that they had, that was all on McDermott. This year, they're not as upset. It was just more of they just couldn't get it done kind of thing. He also says, I don't know if Kelsey and Mahomes stay in KC for their entire life and get married. I just want Spagnuolo out. Well, GB, I believe, is a Chargers fan, I believe. So this actually makes sense. We would all want Spagnuolo out. Wildcard Mark
Where would
says,
you want Spagnuolo to go? Where would you want GB if you're still watching? Where would you want Spagnuolo to go?
Yeah, where would you want him to go? Probably to the old coach's farm in the sky. I mean, not in the sky, but on the farm. Where they put him out to pasture. Anyways,
you can have Taylor apparently. Omar.
Hey, brother. Look, so this is. Let me give you some inside information there, Wildcard Mark. Back before Taylor got with Travis, it was actually Taylor and Omar back in Nashville. And so I actually know the whole inside story. I know when they came up to Taylor and made her this Godfather offer. I know that me and Taylor had a talk about this. We went to dinner at the steakhouse. I bought her a nice steak dinner. Well, she bought me a nice steak dinner. And we talked about it. And we said that we're going to have to break this off for a little bit, but that we would still keep in contact. I still talk to my Tay-Tay all the time. We still talk by phone. I'm letting Travis Kelce have this for the betterment of football. Okay, but she's coming home. She's coming back to Nashville. Tell the folks in your show I said the most important rusher for the Chiefs is Patrick Mahomes. Well, hey,
that's true. That's true.
No argument.
How often have you seen Kareem Hunt in the last couple of games? Spags ain't going nowhere. All right.
Well, he's a Chiefs fan, so we probably know that.
Oh, okay.
But GB would say I'd make him part of the NFL. Yeah, you just want to get rid of him. You just want him to go anywhere other than against our teams, which I completely agree with.
Yeah. You could have just put him on the Cardinals if you wanted to. I'd rather have Spags than Adam Silver. That's a thought. You really want to displace Adam Silver? Okay.
That's great. Great.
This is maybe a question for another time, Omar, but how do you feel between David Stern and Adam Silver? Like, do you think Silver's done a better job than Stern, or do you long for the days of, David?
So I love this question because I've been posed this question before. And for the progression of the league, for making the league more fan-friendly, expanding the game globally, things like that, and for just keeping the league intact and not having issues between owners and teams as often. I think Adam Silver has done a tremendous job as the NBA commissioner.
I completely agree.
That being said, I loved David Stern, and I loved how he kept the league in check with a forceful, hard hand. He made sure that the game was played the right way, that there was competitiveness, but that there was no cheating going on, except with the Knicks and the Spurs. But sometimes you got to help the better teams in the league. I agree. Right. So I would keep Silver for what he's done, but I don't want to disgrace David Stern for the way that he did handle the league while he was there. So, but now, if you say Roger Goodell, get Roger Goodell the hell out. I don't like Roger Goodell. Get him out.
No, I'm not going to say Roger Goodell. I hate what Roger Goodell's been doing, but I mean, what can we do at this point? Like, who can we install that's better than Roger Goodell at this point?
Spagnuolo's. Let's do it. All right.
Spagnuolo. All right.
Hey, Wildcard says, blame the rest of the league. No one has broken up this Chiefs coaching staff or poached their key players. That is very true.
That's true.
Very, very
true.
Because
the team wants to win. If the team continues winning and they're not tired of winning, then of course they're still going to be Chiefs. People
want to stay there. Right.
Yeah. They'll take 2/3 of what they would make elsewhere.
And so, again, as we wrap this up, some people obviously think this is voodoo, sticking pins into, all of the Kansas City Chiefs opponents as they go along. But some other people like Wildcard Mar and other people that know football well would say that they're just a well-oiled squad that just knows how to win in crunch time. So is it possible that we're a toe, a couple lucky doinks, a bad snap, a Raiders illegal shift formation from the Kansas City not even getting the bye this season. Yes, but they were also 15-2. And whether it was narrow victory after narrow victory, and whether you call it fraudulent or coasting on randomness or lucky breaks, it doesn't matter because they got it done, and their run of success continues. They're a team that just refuses to lose.
That's true. That's true. I mean, obviously, I wish both teams well.
It'll be a rematch of a Super Bowl we saw 2 years ago, which was a great Super Bowl, 38-35. Yeah. It was an awesome Super Bowl.
Yeah, so, it was. I mean, but they didn't have Saquon back then. I love that they've got Saquon now, because now they've got to, like, okay, fine. Somebody had said that Mahomes is your runner. Just give it to Saquon. Saquon will just, like, stiff arm everybody. And it'll be great. It'll be fun to watch.
Hey, I already know you put some calls in down there to your Wodies. Asking for a little voodoo magic, stick some pin cushions in Saquon Barkley's doll.
What's the I'm trying to think. I'll remember it eventually. But there's a voodoo priestess who was down there that's famous.
Oh, really?
And she's long been gone, but passed on by now. But I'll think of it, and if not, we'll bring it up later.
No, you're fine. If anyone else can,
Go ahead.
Oh, if anyone can name her? Oh, okay, yeah.
If anyone can name her.
Yeah. The famous voodoo lady in New Orleans. Anybody know? Let us know. But before we move on, I do want to point out that, with all this, the NFL is expected to include the quarterback slide in its plays eligible for replay assist. So that Texans play where two Texans hit each other and they called for the roughing the passer on Mahomes, that's going to be reviewed, and hopefully they'll be getting rid of that where you'll be able to actually replay challenge that call. So,
yeah. Marie Laveau was who you were looking for, or who I was looking for.
I already hit up Master P, and we got something. No limit soldiers. I told you.
Bring gumbo. Bring gumbo. I love gumbo. Just bring gumbo is all I ask. That's all I ask.
If there's a news story of Silk the Shaka, Mystical, and Mia X running a jumping in of Saquon Barkley, who can no longer play in the game, I will know that it was you, Wildcard Mar, that called the hit. Early key to the victory. Stop. Yeah, thanks. Right. Yeah. Pretty simple there.
Walker, let me just say this real quick, out of respect. The Commanders had that same, belief. Stop 26 for the Eagles. It didn't work out. It's possible it may not. We ride on.
Yes, that is tremendous. Yes, that's great.
Yeah,
and then put it in a nice old plastic CD case, with either white or yellow or blue. Yeah, like the old.
Yeah, he's gonna make Saquon disappear, and then I'm gonna go down to New Orleans for Jazz Fest to see like the Roots play. The Roots play. Roots are gonna play. Lil Wayne and the Roots are gonna play, and Saquon will just pop up in the crowd. Is what'll end up happening.
Under or over 25 rushing attempts for Saquon in the Super Bowl.
Over 30. Yeah. I would say at least 30.
I would say he's going to get at least 25. Yeah. Clubber D, thank you for tuning in. Papa Shango. Yeah. The voodoo master of the WWF. Papa Shango. I remember when.
Yeah, but Papa Shango was no Marie Laveau. They're still trying to find Marie Laveau. So, and she's been gone for 200 years. So.
Yeah. By the way, Clubber D and I will be doing a table of terribles, talking about our Raiders and 49ers, and we'll probably have a couple other guests on with terrible teams so we can just make fun of each other. That'll hopefully be coming up this week or next, so stay tuned for that. All right. If the Eagles want to win, he needs over 25. I would say so. Everybody knows the stat that I've been putting out there lately, that when Jalen Hurts passes for under 184 yards, they are 5-0 in the playoffs.
Okay, 184 is the number. I wonder how they calculate that, or not how they calculate that, but I wonder if he's like throwing if he's already thrown for like 110, if he's like guys, I can't throw anymore. I can't throw I have to make sure we win. If we're at 150 yards, if I'm at 150 yards, I can't throw a 30-yard out. I'm sorry. I just, even if it's for playoff, you get bonuses or whatever, I'm sorry, I can't do it.
It's definitely a mix of conservative play calling and his injuries, I would think, and now having Saquon Barkley. But those also extend back to last year too. So, take it for what you will. All right. Absolutely. Well, hey, thank you everybody for tuning in. Make sure you're subscribed to Ball and Buds, BALLANDBUDS as well. I forgot earlier to let Amul Madan share his socials. Go ahead and share your socials. Where can they find you at on social media?
I'm at AM23 Photography for photos and AM23 for Amadan23 for everything else.
On Instagram, everybody.
On Instagram. Sorry, my bad. And then there's also the column website, cognitoergosum.net. Feel free to, jump on and read my stuff. I think the January column should have already broke, but I think because I've been busy with life, I just haven't been able to post it yet. So
no,
and eventually,
our work. So
whenever I start my podcast, I'll have to have you on. So that's in the works. Yeah, that's in the works. Well, yeah.
Yes. You should have your own podcast. I think that's good.
Good having you on the podcast. Wasn't there other topics you wanted to discuss too? Or
we're not done yet. We're not done yet. No. We're not done yet. We still got 30 more minutes, everybody. Y'all stay tuned in.
Oh, we're gonna easily fill 45. No, we're easily gonna fill 45.
Fine. We can go till 9. I just gotta be off by 9. That's all. All right, y'all. Well, thank y'all for tuning in. We're still not done yet, as he said. We are going to talk about. We're going to move from sports now, though, and move into United States news. Talk Donald Trump's first week in office and all of the executive actions that he signed. So, first of all, let's get started with a little bit of other news first before we get into the executive actions last. And then I have a burning round of questions for you, some funny, some not so funny. Yes, so we'll get into that. I sent them on Instagram, so if you didn't look them up, that's your own fault. President Trump.
I didn't look them up, but it's fine.
President Trump is preparing for what should be a bruising week for 3 of his most controversial nominees. Pete Hegseth was barely confirmed as Secretary of Defense this past week, needing the vote of Vice President J.D. Vance in order to be selected. Now, this will be the one you hear the most from me on, as I am a veteran and as I worked at the Pentagon and in the intel world. This man, even as a war veteran, which I know plenty of them, that does not make you qualified to run the Secretary of Defense, to run a $1 billion Pentagon and other agencies, to run the armed forces. So, especially when you haven't even had any modicum of experience within the past 5 years while you've been a television host. It's not like you've been working in the Pentagon. I could give you my good friend who's been a war veteran and is currently the assistant deputy director at the Pentagon, who would be wholly more qualified for this position than Pete Hegseth is. So that is all I'm going to say about that. I'm not hating on the guy for any of his personal stuff. I could care less about that. All Congress people have so many skeletons in their closet that you wouldn't even be able to start counting them. So I don't care about his drinking habits or whatever else. He can do whatever the hell he wants when it comes to that. I care, does he have the actual experience to run the military and the Pentagon? And he does not. What are your thoughts on Pete Hegseth getting confirmed? So
I don't know if you know this, but I've been on the defense portfolio for 2 years. Have you and I talked? I've been supporting.
I did not know
that. So I will just say, I won't tell you who I supported. We can talk about that offline. But I've been on the defense portfolio for where I work. And I'll just say this. That's why I wanted to let you have your space, because you're a veteran. Obviously, I respect veterans, and you have a better understanding of why he shouldn't be. I mean, I also have a better understanding of why he shouldn't be. I don't think he should be, my own personal opinion. However, I will say this, bit of a blessing that he got confirmed, because all of the contracts on the portfolio side, I don't mean to bring work into any of this, but from a portfolio standpoint, across a lot of companies. Contracts are being shuttered. They're being stopped because they didn't have they didn't have a sec def at Pentagon. So
Right.
if I'm glad he's installed. I don't think he's right for the job because I think he's more of a commentator than, an actual, Pentagon, someone who would be a good candidate for the Pentagon. But I think that hopefully this means that contracts will open up a little bit. I don't think they'll open up for a while. I'm hearing they're not going to open up till March or April, but with different companies, but it just really varies because I'm going to leave the personal stuff out just like you are. I don't want to comment on that. Everyone has skeletons in the closet, like you said. Everyone has things that they regret, but things are frozen right now because of the admin turnover, and they shouldn't be. Like, jobs are being lost because of that. Contracts are not being signed because of that. And that's important. It's imperative. I think I can say this.
Yes.
It's imperative that you have the right person for the job. It is imperative that you have someone that can not only respect our troops, but has been there on the front lines with troops, like with your own company, having served in any of the wars that we've been in previously, and that, hey, I understand, I respect that he's there, I'm fine that he's there, it's not that, I'm glad that he got installed because now it means contracts will start moving again.
And that was an issue, right? Because you're right. When the turnover in an administration happens, there is a pause in activity in some of these governmental agencies where they don't have a director or directions at that point in time, which is what has happened here, and which is especially a crucial piece of the Department of Defense is their contract within the industry.
Yes, and when your contracts are shuttered, that's a problem. That's a massive problem. They just installed somebody at Treasury that I think you'll probably get to as well. The same issue there. So, hopefully he does a decent job for however long he decides to be SecDef. I don't know if it's going to be 4 years or if it's going to be 2 years or 1 year, but hopefully he has good lieutenants that can help guide him because he certainly needs them.
Yeah, no, he's going to need them because again, look, I wish everyone the best in this administration. I'm hopeful that it will be better than the first term was, right, and all the issues that they had that time. I know we had COVID and everything like that, but so I'm wishing for the best. But to start off with people that may not have the right experience just because you like them is not the way that things should be done. Now, I'm not going to say that doesn't happen on both sides because it does, but.
It totally happens on both sides.
Things that we got to
talk about. You can bring it up and say it. It's fine. I mean, the 12 years I was in politics, it happened all the time.
And so let's look at the other side of that then, right? Because this week, Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, who is supposed to be going up for what is it, the Secretary of Intelligence?
She's going to be National Intelligence.
National Intelligence, yes, thank you.
National Intelligence.
RFK Jr. for Secretary of Health and Human Services, and finally the most controversial, Kash Patel for the FBI. The FBI.
FBI is what he meant there, gentlemen.
HBI is. I don't even know what that is.
I don't know what the HBI is.
Now they're expected to breeze through because the Republicans control the Senate. But what are your thoughts on these three controversial nominees?
Don't get me started on Tulsi. Don't. Tulsi, don't get me started. She was Indian. She was a Democrat. She was on our side. And then, so I have cousins and everyone else that will disagree with me, and feel free to if you ever get a chance to listen to this. But we obviously want the best for everybody. You mentioned Tulsi. I wish there were better candidates. Like, I'm sorry for Tulsi, for RFK. Like, I wish there were better candidates, but you sort of have to wish the best for them and say, okay, I hope you're going to do a decent job or a halfway decent job. You already know that you're not going to be able to eat a Pop-Tart after midnight with RFK as a Health and Human Services secretary. So I'm sorry, kids, but you will not be able to have Pop-Tarts for breakfast if RFK is confirmed. Which, I mean, they're going to try to get as many
a lot of people
confirmations
want
through.
the processed food going away, right?
And that's fine. No, and that's okay. That's fine if they want processed food to go away. That I mean, I myself eat clean, so it's okay. Like I understand where they're coming from, but I just meant from the standpoint of he isn't a good candidate. Do I wish him well? Do I wish him success? I wish that he had a different thought, how he felt different about vaccinations. But that's not my circus. I wish that Tulsi didn't have the skeletons in her closet that she does. But
let's talk about that though, because her skeletons that you mentioned is that she is, let's be nice about this, a Russian.
Yeah. Be as nice as you can, sir.
Given where we both are. A sympathizer, maybe I can say. Is that clean enough?
That's somewhat sanitary.
But the problem is when you have those, and when you're also running the national intelligence of a country that is an adversary of that country, that's where things come into it.
Yeah, that's where the problem exists, and that's going to, something that. How are the Republicans going to handle it? We already know how the Democrats will handle it. We already know what Timmy Kaine is going to say, and others are going to say. But how are the Republicans going to handle it? Are they going to just sweep it under the rug? And, is it going to be like a repeat of Kavanaugh's confirmation? Right. Where he was like, I love that Kavanaugh pulled a Stone Cold Steve Austin because no one knew what he was talking about except for those that tangentially had an interest in wrestling back then. Right. And it was just like, okay, fine, if that's what you want to, I liked beer, I liked a lot of beer. But I'm curious to know. I'm not going to watch them all. I probably won't watch it as a whole lot of the confirmations, but I want them to do well. Sorry.
Now, what are your thoughts on the most controversial of the picks? He's supposed to be going up for director of FBI, Kash Patel, who has some pretty wild conspiracy theories along the lines of a Steve Bannon, along the lines of a Alex Jones, things like that. What do you say about that? What do you feel about it?
I want him to do well. But I once again, I will go back to the well and say this. I'll repeat myself. I don't think he's a right candidate. There are candidates that we have that we shouldn't be having better candidates. But it's not up to us who those candidates are. 47 decided to choose his own candidates. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say this, that we've got all these other contracts, FBI, HHS, NSP, with companies. And those companies, are just waiting for someone to be installed. Mm-hmm. I'm going to stop the cam and start it again and see if it works.
So again, another pick is as someone that seems to not have the requisite experience necessary to.
It's the experience, is what it is. Yeah, it's the experience, and you need that experience. You need to be able to say, "Hey, this is somebody who's been there before." But again, who would you? This is the one thing that I've sort of struggled with. Who would you pick? If it's not going to be Hegseth, who's it going to be?
Well, I mean, there's plenty of people that are in the Department of Defense that are very high up and have been working at the Pentagon and other places.
I'm not disagreeing with you. But I'm saying I'm asking it from the standpoint of the person who chose Hegseth as the candidate. Right. Who else would you pick? Are there others? Yes, absolutely. Of those others, who would that person pick? And when you have all of these better choices, you're going to have people like myself and you who are going to say, okay, I wish the best for them, but you could have made a better choice. And you just hope for the best for our country, I hate to put it that diplomatically, but you you hope for the best. That's all you can do.
Yeah, and so let's move into Donald Trump's first week. He obviously signed almost 200 executive actions. Last week, I actually went through. I was pretty proud of myself. I named out the top 30, and I just went without trying to take a breath, and it was crazy.
Okay.
But let's just go through some of these. Let's talk about the one at the forefront right now, which is the immigration. Now, obviously, there is a huge deportation happening. It came out today that he wants them to up their quota to 1,500 people deported every day. So far, they have sent flights back to Colombia, back to Guatemala, back to Ecuador, and some other places. They sent about 1,000 people or so, I guess, over the first couple of days.
You heard about what the Colombian president did, right? You heard about what the Colombian president. Okay,
that's exactly what I was about to bring up. So we actually sent military planes to Colombia with some of these illegal aliens that they wanted them to take back. Colombian President Petro decided that he said, no, you're going to treat them dignified way with dignity, and send them on a commercial airline rather than military. Well, Trump turned around and said, nah, buddy, this is going to be 25% tariffs, which in a week will go up to 50% tariff. And then we're not letting any of your officials come in. We're putting restrictions on all of your government officials, all of these things. And Colombia, to props to President Trump, Colombia turned around and said, okay, never mind. We'll take, all of these people that you're sending over. What do you think about this so far?
Because Colombia doesn't want to, they can't, you can only poke the bear so much. And if it was a dance, it was a negotiation. It still is. It's going to be for other countries too, where, you're going to have people that are going to be sent back, and, you just have to, the president or premier of that country is going to have to negotiate a little bit, maybe through social media or through the public, because I don't know whether 47 is actually going to take a call from the president of whatever, Mexico, or premier of, I don't know, Finland or something like that. But, it's a delicate balance. It really is. This is what was asked for.
But it would seem to also
47 got into the office. So,
but it would also seem to undercut his goal to reduce the country's trade deficit, because unlike Mexico or China, Colombia is one of the few countries that has a trade deficit with us of around 1.4 billion. Colombia is the U.S. second biggest buyer of corn. They also are one of our biggest, and this is going to be less now that we're drilling for oil here, but one of our biggest exporters for barrels of oil, over 200,000 a day, and our largest supplier of flowers.
Well, we're not going to be able to give flowers to our mothers as much as we want to.
And that's the thing with supply and demand, is that these tariffs are going to cause higher prices on American products.
They're already, if I may speak on that real quick, they're already causing higher prices. I mean, to an extent, I went to my local Trader Joe's here in Bailey's Crossroads recently, and they didn't have eggs. They just because of the avian flu. Like they had eggs for a hot minute, and then I think it topped out at $6 a carton, and then they didn't have them anymore. They were like, no, we're not gonna ship them out from California. Right. And California has their own issues. I know they've had a lot of wildfires recently, but this is part of it. Is 47 Trump was elected to, as part of this was his immigration mandate, and with him shipping out 1,500, maybe more individuals a day. Presidents and premiers have to sort of navigate that. This is the scenario, the land that we're in at present.
And so I need to ask this, because
Yeah.
Obviously, Trump declared a national emergency at the border. He announced the so-called ending of catch and release, where migrants are claiming asylum, given court dates, and then released pending those proceedings. Also seeks to overturn birthright citizenship, which I know you will get into. But when you have these things happen, it is not necessarily, because I think we can both agree here and now that we don't want criminals in our country. I think we can agree that anyone who is illegal and is also a felon or someone who has committed, bad crimes. I'm not talking about a driving citation. I'm talking about real crimes. Those people need to be out of our country. Point blank, period. I think we can all agree on that. But the problem that happens is when you seek to go into these different corners of immigration and you now start to affect people who are not criminals, people who are productive citizens, paying taxes and doing other things that help the country and the economy. What do you say to that?
Or they're legal citizens.
Or they're legal
citizens.
And
they're being Or they're and so you're getting caught up in that, and then all of a sudden, like, somebody says to you, go back to your home country. Well, my home country is here in the U.S. What are you going to do then? Like, not what are you going to do then? Sorry, I don't mean to say it like that, but it's hard to it's hard to that's hard to jive with the narrative that you've got. I said this before. It's delegate dance. I think and this is just my own personal opinion, I think that the executive actions are coming in. I understand where he's coming from, but I think they're coming in too fast, too quick. And I think that there's a reason for that. The reason is to throw everyone off their game, because now you don't know what is the most important executive action of the moment. But it's something that needs to, someone, and I'm looking towards the administration, needs to slow things down a little bit. Let us catch our breath and go, okay, what's going to be the executive action, or this week that society has to pay attention to? We already have so many other issues that we need to face with cybersecurity, Meta changing their policies, and this is other stuff that we can get into later. But the amount of, I think you mentioned 300, and he's got like top 30. Like, he's got another like 25 executive actions over the next 2 weeks, I think, that he's trying to carry out. So, I mean, obviously,
and the crazy part, you say the crazy part, and you said like he's signing them so fast. It's not even like he even is conscious of what he's doing. When they did their initial presentation where he's signing on in the Oval Office, or he was signing at the Capitol Arena, and they keep passing him these bills, and he's like, "What's this?" And they're like, "Oh, well, it's to remove ourselves from the World Health Organization." "Oh, well, that sounds good." It's like, wait a second, did you review these before, or is this just coming from Project 2025? Because I really need to know if you actually put thought into this, or if you're just signing off on what your people want.
Somebody should check to see if one of them was a ballot, to see if to get Ichiro into the Hall of Fame unanimously. Someone should check if that also was something, an executive action that he signed. Come on, that was a good joke. That was a good joke.
No, it was. No. You're just frozen, so I wasn't sure if you were joking or not, because your face was.
I was joking. I was totally joking. I know it's been frozen for like an hour, for like 30 minutes at this, or 20 minutes at this point.
Let me see. Let's see if that worked. That didn't work at all. But anyways, I think that just made it worse, actually. All right, maybe we should have just gone with the picture that you had on there. But Flo is going to chime in. Flo is I work with him at the Bottom Line Sports. He is a Republican. Well known.
Okay.
He says he is a war veteran with 2 combat tours and been involved with many veterans his whole life. So, all right, Flo, well, let's talk about this, right? I know many veterans, and I'm sure you do as well, who have been in 2 combat or more tours. Being a combat veteran does not make you wholly qualified to run the Department of Defense. It just does not. Sorry. I don't care how many wars you've been to. that doesn't make you qualify for that. And
I
it doesn't
agree.
matter how many veterans you've been involved with. Again, I can give you a person I know personally, who I will not mention their government name because that's not necessary here, but I know a person who works as as an assistant department of director of defense at the Pentagon, who has had combat tours and who is more wholly qualified than Pete Hegseth.
Yeah.
So there are more people now. Again, we wish him the best, but just because you're a combat veteran, Flo, and you know this, that does not make you qualified to run a whole Department of Defense. That's just not even possible. Now, moving on to his other one, which I'll give you a little more leeway on this than I will the Hegseth. But Tulsi Gabbard and RFK were beloved by the Dems until they saw where the party was going. Too many misinformation about them both. RFK has never been anti-vax. We're gonna talk about that now because I'm gonna have Amul talk about that because I don't believe that's true. I think
I don't believe that's true either. But okay,
he's been pretty out there about that. You're gonna have to give us cited sources on that, sir. But he says RFK has never been anti-vax. He questioned how they were approved. So I am not a Democrat. I am in the middle. I was never in the Democrats like you were and have been since that was your party of record when you did politics.
Well, they're not following me anymore, which I'm kind of glad about. But Tulsi, we liked Tulsi for a while, and there were she was beloved in the Indian community here in the DC metro area, and she decided one day that she didn't like where the party was going. I think it was during the Obama years. And that's when she handed in her resignation and was like, all right, I'm going to go play for the other team for a little bit, which was very West Wing-ish because it's happened like on the West Wing. But we can get into that later. With RFK is always, at least from my understanding, and please, cite your sources. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, and I'll stand corrected. But he's always been anti-vax ever since he popped on the screen. Popped up. He's always been he's never been like I think his uncle JFK. He's never been like JFK. He's always with everything. He's broken, and he's very firmly anti-vax. But again, I want to believe that both have good intentions for the country, especially Tulsi if she ever decides to switch. I might have a crush on you again. I'm just putting it out there, Tulsi. But if you ever decide to switch parties and come back home, but it's okay if you don't. It's fine. We had a good thing. Much like Omar and Taylor, we had a good. They had a good thing. We had a good thing. But in all seriousness, you have to hope that these guys are going to be able to take the party or take the country in a direction that everyone is okay with. When it comes to immigration, when it comes to, the price of eggs, when it comes to our economy. I mean, look at what happened today with the Chinese AI that decided to throw NVIDIA and all the other tech stocks in a tizzy. You knew Apple was going to go down because Apple hasn't. I mean, I'm going to take shots at Apple for a second. I mean, I love using my iPhone, but they should innovate. Come on. And if you're not going to innovate, NVIDIA is going to lap you, twice and 10 times on Sunday, twice a day and 10 times on Sunday. And it's just something that I don't know. I want to believe that this is setting us up for the best of intentions. I want us to do decently well. I would like the people that are supposed to be confirmed so that contracts can get flowing again. I realize that they may not be the right people, but you have to believe that something is going to, that they're actually going to speak to the better angels and we'll be okay.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, brother, go ahead and jump out and try to jump back in and see if that fixes your camera, and I'll just keep it moving until you come back.
I'll be back.
All right. So yeah, you're right, Flo. The president does. He gets to choose his cabinet. There's nothing we can say about that. But they do have confirmation hearings for a reason, because you do need to figure out if those people are qualified for the position. And for Pete Hegseth, again, being a combat veteran and going to war and knowing other veterans and working with other veterans does not make you qualified at all. Not for any of us. I don't care if it's me, you, him, my other buddy, right? If he hasn't worked in the Department of Defense, which he hasn't, he's been working at Fox News. If he hasn't worked at the Pentagon or places like that, then clearly he doesn't have the expertise or the knowledge, clearly. But again, as we mentioned, we hope that they put the right lieutenants in place that will be able to help him. We wish them nothing but the best, because obviously we don't want, as a veteran especially, I don't want the country to go down. But there are questions for a reason when they go when they question these people. For Tulsi Gabbard, I don't care that she used to be a Democrat. What I care about is that she has contacts inside of Russia and contacts inside of Iran, and you should not have that if you're going to be the director of national intelligence. Sorry, I know for a fact that when you're in the intel side of things, you are not supposed to have any contacts from any foreign countries, adversary or ally. It could be somebody from Canada, and they ain't supposed to have contacts with them. You're just not supposed to do it. So that's my issue with her. RFK, I actually have high hopes for him, because I think that processed food needs to be eliminated, sugar, things like that. Do I question his anti-vax stance? Which again, I'm gonna have to get those sources from you, Flo, to see where that's from, because anything I've ever heard him say has all been anti-vax to this point. But you're right, he does get to choose, and I'm glad that we can have these conversations. Amul is a Democrat on record. I am an independent. You are a conservative on record. I'm glad that we can have these discussions and have them civilly. And that's fine, Flo, but how many people have 20 years military experience? A lot of people. How many officers that actually work at the Department of Defense right now and would be more qualified? That's what I'm talking about. But again, we'll wish him the best. As for this, taking care of NC, I don't know what NC means.
Hold on.
But
Taking care of NC. Hold on. Something in the last minutes. Oh, he's talking about. I know what he's talking about. He's talking about what happened with the floods in North Carolina. That's what he's talking about. And if by taking care of, could you elaborate on that? Because all I remember is him throwing paper towels at everybody, I think, in North Carolina, but I could be wrong.
That was Puerto Rico, but that's okay. That was Puerto Rico.
Oh, okay.
That's okay.
Bad, sorry.
It was a hurricane. He has been known to show off. And the administration did anything for the wildfires, because it started right at the end of their administration, so I wouldn't have expected that anyways, because ever since Trump got elected, he's been the de facto president, so he's been making all the decisions. So that I can't put on the last administration, but. Yeah, I mean, there are times where their administrations have problems that they're handling, especially at the end with the transitions that we said, that makes it very difficult, because you have two competing philosophies trying to do the same thing. So, but yeah, thank you Flo, for always tuning in. Y'all make sure to check me and Flo out tomorrow night. The Bottom Line Sports at 8 p.m. We'll be running with our boys, Hot Take Jake and Canteen. We'll be doing our Super Bowl preview, early Super Bowl preview. We'll talk some NBA, NHL, and a little bit of some early baseball as well. So tune in tomorrow night at 8 p.m. for that. Let's continue on here. I do want to ask you, before I get into the hot round of questions, the one that's most controversial is the birthright citizenship. So he wants to end birthright citizenship, which in the amendments, right?
In the Constitution.
And I'll let you explain this further, since you are more well versed than I am in the Constitution. But
we're all
essentially,
we got a good education from Professor Holla. So
essentially, birthright citizenship guarantees you citizenship within the country if you are born in the country. But Trump is saying, well, wait a second, if you're not born in the country to parents who are legally here, then why should you be given that birthright citizenship? So from a constitutional perspective, being the expert that you are, what do you say to this?
First, I'm going to say this. I am not a constitutional scholar, but I know this much. If it's in the Constitution, within the Constitution, if you were born and raised here, you grew up, you have kids, or you legally came here, then you decide to have kids, your kids are U.S. citizens. Now, if he wants to challenge that. There's already, I think, 6 lawsuits, challenging, or they're among the 6 lawsuits that are present. That that are challenging birthright citizenship. In my own personal opinion, I think it's a good idea to challenge something within the Constitution.
Okay.
But if he's angling to change what's in the Constitution, this wouldn't be the way that I would do it. But
okay, how would you go about it?
I would raise an amendment. I would ask for an amendment to be passed. That's
because he does need an amendment. If he can get an amendment passed, then he can change it, right?
Yeah. If you got an amendment passed, you can get it changed. But he would have to have the amendment. You can't just say, I want a Lamborghini, or I want I want my Raiders to go to the. I'm going to pick on you for a second. I want my Raiders to win the Super Bowl. You can't just say that and snap your fingers and it'll happen. Right. He's got to be able to show just cause, and to be able to show just cause is to put in for an amendment or ask Congress to sit down and write an amendment to the U.S. Constitution. And until he does that, it's not going to go anywhere. I don't think.
Okay, so just to
birthright citizenship, just birthright citizenship in general. I don't think it'll go anywhere until he's got an amendment, and I don't think he'll get the amendment.
Okay.
So,
and a lot of people don't think constitutionally he will be able to get that amendment because of the fact that it's just very hard to get things changed constitutionally.
It is,
but
it really is.
He, again, like we said, he's signing executive actions fast and furious, including all the things we talked about, including the federal hiring freeze that you mentioned earlier, which is keeping positions from being filled. There's also the DEI, getting rid of DEI at every rooting it out of government. Now, whatever you may think or what you've heard and what you believe, because again, as we know, the media and the news are going to tell their followers, their base, their side, whatever it is that they want them to believe. I
don't watch the news as much anymore, if that's what you're asking.
No, not you, but I know a lot of people that do, and that take everything from the news, and it's not always gospel, because a lot of times they're telling you what they want you to think or want you to know, when sometimes it's not exactly true. And so if we actually want to get into woke politics, and I had this conversation with Flo, and it was one of the first times we talked politics, and it got kind of heated. He knows my explanation, and any person that is maybe on the right or even of a different than minority status, woke is just code word.
Yes.
On the right, it's just a buzzword for minorities, for black and brown. But when
that's what it's become.
The actual word was actually established, when it was established by the minority community, by black and brown people, it was a word that was established to mean situational awareness, to stay aware of your surroundings, to not let the man get you down. And so to be turned around and used as woke and against the minority community and the black and brown people who made up the word in the first place, it's very disingenuous of the right to do things like that, and then extend it into DEI and CRT, which DEI was put in place to help marginalized minorities that don't get the chances that other groups do. And if you believe that that's not true, you are completely lying, and you know that you are.
Right. And it spread after what happened with George Floyd, which is fine. I get it. I respect it. I will say this. He wants a lot of things changed. Okay, fine. I mean, some people want a pony. He wants a bunch of other things to be, changed. They're not all going to change overnight. I know he wants them to, but, I've already seen companies out there go, we're still going to be DEI. We're going to still be inclusive, and we're still going to have diverse hires. Now, I've heard, listen to podcasts where they say that, where it said that they may, do it quietly. And if they do it quietly, that's fine. I even heard somebody say she was based at a like GW, and like just was a professor up the street and at George Washington University. And she says something to the effect of, well, you know, maybe woke isn't a real word. And it's like, okay, well, now you're just making stuff up. But if this is, you know, where we're going as a society, we have to adapt. You know, I understand he's trying to enact all these measures, which is fine. That's what every new president does when they're trying to make an imprint on society. Reagan did it, Carter did it, Bush 1 and 2 did it, you know, Biden and Obama did it. I mean, Trump did it too. The first, you know, wave. I think he did it. He's doing it more now.
And it's not a problem if you're trying to level the playing field, but let's be completely
right.
100 about it. The playing field was never level, and the playing field has
never been level.
Right, and it still isn't. Even with DEI and affirmative action and everything else, it's still not.
It's still not level. It's still not level, and that's the thing is you can say that everyone's equal. You can say that you know, everyone's getting a certain amount of pay. You can say that, but the people that are actually living the lives know that that's not true. Like, we know how much we're getting paid. Yeah, it's categorically false. Categorically false.
There's no way you can sit here and tell me that taking affirmative action out of colleges, and especially the elite colleges where all you have are Caucasian individuals, is helping to make that university better. It's not.
Or better yet, whitewashing history.
Or whitewashing history.
Yeah, or whitewashing history. Like, you can't say that and go, yeah, this is our history. Like, I'm sorry, I did this just by happenstance today. But the shirt I'm wearing, the Tuskegee Airmen, Air Force is talking about, or he told Air Force to stop, you know, teaching the history of that. No, like, let's not, because you know, there's certain things that we need to learn as a society, that kids need to learn as a society, that you and I grew up learning. Or if we didn't learn it in the classroom, we went to Miss Lellinger, we asked her, and she gave us a book on what was going to happen. Sorry.
No, you're good.
You know what I mean. So go ahead. Yeah.
And Flo, we have no problem citing sources. Let us know what you want us to. Obviously, anything we talked about here today, we didn't actually quote anything. You were the one that mentioned that RFK was not anti-vax, so that's why we asked for the source on that. We have not made any declarative statements. We've only been giving our opinion, but definitely would not have a problem giving you that if I do make a statement of declarity that needs to be proven. That being said, thank you for this. Anybody who wants to check out, this is his article about RFK Jr. on vaccines. I would definitely read that after the program. Thank you for giving us that, Flo. He also says, and you're going to have to answer this, all the experience of the last SecDef was military experience. So who was the SecDef and what kind of experience did they have under Joe Biden?
Let's find out. Hold on. Last SecDef, because I don't remember who the last SecDef was.
And also, well, you're gonna have to come again. You missed that last one.
I don't remember who the last SecDef was. Give me just a second.
No, you're fine.
Lloyd James Austin was it looks like Lloyd James Austin was the Secretary of Defense.
Oh, yeah. Lloyd James Austin was also the director of the Pentagon, Flo. So come on, man. That's not even an apt comparison. Lloyd Austin was the director of the Pentagon before he got moved up to there. So I don't even want to hear that.
Was Hegseth ever a 4-star general? Because that's what Austin was.
He was an officer, and he was never even in the Pentagon or any of those Department of Defense places. So,
my source is the U.S. Department of Defense government site dated January 16th, 2025.
Yeah, you can get out of there with that one, Flo. That one does not work at all. They are not even comparable. But again,
he was also the first black defense secretary. Sorry, I'm going to stop. But
no, you're fine. There. But with the DEI, you know, the Flo's party may not have liked him being in there anyways. I won't say Flo because I'm not going to You're not impressed with 4-star generals, Flo? Well, sorry, they made it there somehow. You and I never made it there, so we can't say shit. So, I mean, thanks for not being impressed, but they obviously did a lot of work to get there. You and I both know that. You know how hard it is to get promoted. All right. Well, not in some like the Navy and Army, you get promoted pretty quickly early on.
Yeah.
I don't want to say anything about how long it took us to get promoted in the Air Force, but that's neither here nor there. All right, let me hit you with a speed round of questions before we get out of here for the day. Some of these are going to be funny side of things. Some are going to be on the more serious side of things. So I'll start you off with a funny. I'll start you off with a funny one.
Are you going to limit me? Are you going to limit me to like how long I have to answer? Out of curiosity,
No.
do you want like?
No.
Okay, all right.
We have 15 minutes left in the program, and I have about 10 questions. So do about a minute each if you'd like.
Okay, that works.
All right. First question. Watching the inauguration, obviously someone was not happy to be there, so much so that they covered themselves in total black to try to hide from the crew and wore a hat so you couldn't see their face. And to me,
I saw that.
This looked a little bit reminiscent of a Dick Tracy villain. What was Melania dressed like, my friend? Is this Who Framed Roger Rabbit? What is happening right now?
This she was either either Who Framed Roger Rabbit or the Hamburglar. I'm surprised you didn't bring that up. I'm surprised you didn't bring up the Hamburglar because but I will say this. I will say this respectfully. I think she had the hat on because she didn't want to kiss 47. And that's okay. You know, that they had an air kiss. Good for them. But
my mom said that she wanted to go buy that outfit. I was like, you're crazy. Don't you ever come in this house looking like that. I'm gonna be.
I mean, your mom can, but when was she just when is she gonna wear it?
I was like, what is this, the 1920s? What are we wearing here? I don't even understand.
Like you're at a point where, okay, wait, when are you gonna wear it if you're gonna buy it? Like the hat too?
Definitely not ever wearing that. Another thing that happened at the inauguration, which I've never seen before, and I feign ignorance here because I was never really that big into politics as you were. But I've watched the inauguration ceremonies before. I don't ever remember there being speeches. So when I was watching the inauguration ceremony, I was like kind of half paying attention, but half working. And so I wasn't really paying attention. So I didn't see when he gave the speech. I had to later go back and watch it because I was like, wait, presidents give speeches and the other presidents are there. But I did go back and watch a couple, which were all pretty cordial. But when I watched this one, I noticed that he was pretty hard on Joe Biden, the outgoing president, who was sitting directly behind him. I thought that was pretty uncouth. I didn't feel like that was very respectful. I get you may not like him, and I get that y'all are in different parties and different sides of the aisle. But if we're going to be grow as a country and progress as a country, we need to have more unity. And disparaging the outgoing president in a time where you should be celebrating and being celebrated as coming in as the president just seems a little petty. Seems not even a little petty. Just seems really mad petty. It just seems it's just very unbecoming. It did not look or act as what a president should be. And I just felt that was kind of, I don't know, I didn't like it too much. I thought that's not the time for that. If you want to talk about what you want to do or celebrate your people and your vice president, stuff like that, fine, do all that. But to talk crap about the other president while they're sitting right behind you, I didn't find that to be funny or crafty or smart or any of the above. So when we get Amul back in, he should be coming back here in a second. I'll go through a couple more things. One thing I wanted to talk about, and this is more of my own instead of Amul, so I can talk about this one here myself until he comes back. But one executive action that was signed into order by the president in these actions were he issued an executive order that rescinded Executive Order 14,006. That President Biden issued on 2021 to eliminate the use of privately operated criminal detention facilities. So this means that President Donald Trump has now signed an executive action to bring back into play privatized prisons. Now, if you've watched me, if you've watched Ball and Buds, if you've watched The Mind of the Professor, I did a whole segment on privatized prisons and why that should not be a thing, and it never should be, because the only thing that privatized imprisonment does is encourage people to be more people, encourages law enforcement and government officials to imprison more people to be able to make money off of the backs of those indentured servitude, which is just slavery. And one of the reasons that privatized prisons were put into play in the first place back in the day were to be able to continue slavery without it actually being called slavery. Because when slavery was abolished with the Emancipation Proclamation, there was a rule that came into play that said you can still use slavery or indentured servitude as a form of punishment, which then turned into privatized prison, which then turns into imprisoning more people and putting more, especially since we know the majority of people are black and brown and more minorities, that this is just putting more of those types of people into prisons in order to make more money and use their labor in these places. I can tell you for sure, because I have fond experience with someone who was in the local county jail here, who told me that when they were doing work for the jail, for the prison, they were made to go, you've seen the side of the road, people that pick up trash. They were to go to the landfill and do work. They were to go to these other places. And whether you believe that's right or not, the fact that indentured servitude can still be put on as a form of slavery due to punishment is something that is just a crock of BS and is used to hold a lot of people down that maybe shouldn't. And it also is used to adjudicate a lot of crimes and also charge people for higher amounts of sentences for lower amounts of crimes, because of the fact that they get paid to keep those prisons at least 90% full. And if they don't keep it 90% full, they start to lose their funding. So this is why I do not believe in privatized prisons. I do not think that we should want to imprison people in this society. I think we should want to rehabilitate before imprisoning. Now, yes, are there obviously some really bad criminals and people in this world, murderers, rapists, other things, child molesters that deserve to be imprisoned, maybe even, what is it called? The death penalty? Sure, yes, I do agree. But I do not agree with privatized prisons, because all it does is try to imprison more people, and you end up, again, imprisoning people that maybe don't deserve it or get imprisoned for a longer time because you're trying to punish them more to make more money off their backs. How do you feel about that?
I feel relieved to be back. So while you were out, the stream died. So I was just trying to, but I caught the tail end of that. So I don't know if you saw me at all. I will say this: I think it's better that we rehabilitate than put people in prisons. I don't think it's fair to do that. We already have a stacked prison system. We already have a social system. And there needs to be some sort of, I hate to use the NFL term parity, but like there needs to be some sort of level of parity, some level of respect too. I mean, we have to be able to rehabilitate or allow for the act of rehabilitation, and people to get out there and try to do the best that they can with the life that they have if they've been given a second chance. These are all very ambitious, and I think he has to understand respectfully as president what he can feasibly get through, what he can, and what can't. He's not going to be able to get everything. I mean, unless he really, within the next 18 months, tries to push everything through, it's not going to happen. So we'll kind of take it from where we are and kind of go from there. But I think that's what we have to look forward to. Because you remember growing up, like Lorton was right up the street from us.
Oh yeah, right across the street from my house, the Lorton
And
Prison. I remember.
yeah, so it's just one of those things where there are people that are in that are in jail wrongly. Some are in jail because it's correct.
Oh, a lot of people are in improperly and misadjudicated and put in jail for reasons that they don't belong.
Absolutely. And so they have to be able to sit there and go, okay, to think about their lives and think about what happened and where things are going. Um, Again, it's ambitious. Will it work out? Maybe, probably not. But that's up to that's up to a lot of factors out of our control at the moment.
Okay.
Sorry, I
And
admit it sort of died, so I had to switch to the
no, you're
cell
good. You're
phone.
good. Flo, I
Yeah.
see your comments. I'll bring them up at the end. I just want to get through these, and then if you have any more comments, Flo, just throw them in there, and we'll bring them all up here at the end, and we'll go through them. But I want to get through these first. So one thing that did happen, and again, I have a friend that is a Capitol police officer that was there January 6th, working that day, fighting the protesters.
Yeah.
And thank God we had a peaceful transfer of power this time around, where
Yes.
Biden and Harris were peacefully signed everything over. Didn't he even had coffee or tea
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
Trump, which I would have never done. Sorry, you're going to talk all this crap about me. You're going to do all this to me. I'm not going to meet with you. I'm just going to peace out. So the fact that he did any of that is a big props to the outgoing party for being able to peacefully transfer power and not have a bunch of hooligans and other
Yeah.
people ransacking the Capitol, which
Right.
there were pardons. So let's talk about these pardons, because
Okay.
first of all, and both sides of the aisle are very Hippocratic, right? There's
Yeah.
a lot of hypocrisy going on both sides. But one thing that was really rich and stuck out was the fact that the GOP, the conservative side of the aisle, was open arms when Biden pardoned his family and the other people that could have been attacked for the January 6th committee.
Right.
But then turned around and released all the J6 prisoners.
Yeah.
Now, if there were people that were there, again, improperly, there were a lot of people that did not do anything violent that day or didn't have violent records, that did not need to be in jail. I agree with them being released. But a whole blanket pardon when you had a lot of those people that are violent criminals and that really did some damage in that Capitol that my friend has personally told me about, that really spits in my face when you talk about deporting illegal
It does.
aliens.
It does.
How do you feel about
I mean,
this?
I kind of feel like here we go again. Like I live, I'm not going to tell you guys where, but let's just say I live close to the Capitol. And when your apartment is in lockdown because of the stuff that's gone on,
Hmm.
not once, but twice, when you're just sort of like, wondering what's going to happen if people are actually going to be, popping into your and knocking on your doors and trying to get you out, that's a problem. And then you go ahead and that was on J6, and then you go ahead and let those people out, like that's not a necessarily good look. I understand why he may have done it, because he said he wanted to. He said he wanted to do it, but it isn't going to be very well received. I understand that, like, he doesn't need more votes. I'm sorry, he's not running for re-election. Like, you don't need more votes, sir. Like, you're good.
Now, that's the other thing, though, because in a
Yeah.
speech he had it the other day, he was overheard saying, not overheard, he said it. I watched it.
Yeah. He said it.
Maybe
Yeah.
you'll give me a third term and maybe a fourth term. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but only dictators speak like that.
Yes. And he's forgetting, perhaps because he wants to, he's forgetting he's not FDR. And term limits didn't exist back then in FDR's time. And so I think it was FDR who came up with the 4-year term that we have now. So really, you just have to once again hope that he doesn't he does the proper thing and hands all of this over to Vance or whoever else he wants to in the future. And I don't know who's going to run in 2028. Don't ask me. It could be you. It could be me. But
Well, the Democrats have nobody right now, so we'll see what happens there.
I mean, yeah, they have nobody. So, like I said, it could be you. It could be me who runs in 28. Um, and we'll see how that shakes out. It has to be
Yeah,
decided though.
I just think that's very, 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 hypocritical of him
It is. It's very
to
hypocritical.
to release prisoners, especially people like Stuart Rhodes,
Right.
Tario from the Proud Boys. These people who are violent criminals that
Yeah.
did not deserve to get out. Now, again, the people that didn't do anything or may not have violent past, fine, let them out. But to give a full
Right.
blanket pardon and then turn around and say, oh, all the illegal aliens who are criminals need to get out, well, then why are you keeping the criminals that were already in jail? Why are you letting them out onto our
Well,
streets?
he
So they can,
said he wanted to.
yeah, 'cause
Like
he
he
wants them
said
to
that was what he wanted. Yeah.
stand by, right? So there you
Yeah.
go. Hey,
Yeah.
let's look at two more questions I have for you.
Sure.
One's
Sure.
gonna be very super serious. The last one will be a funny one.
Okay.
Elon Musk, Trump's first
Oh,
buddy,
God.
the other day at a political rally.
That was a salute. That was a salute. Let's move on. That was a salute. That was in fact a salute.
So no doubt in your mind that was a Higgs seal. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. Yeah. That
I'm
was a
sorry.
salute.
I'm sorry. You can't tell me that he's autistic and he's on the spectrum and that's why he's doing these things. I've never seen anyone autistic on the spectrum give that salute. I've also never seen that salute given like that. Even if you're trying to give your heart out, you can't play that off. I saw it and I right away knew what it was. And then even when I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt, because there's a bunch of people online, oh, he's just giving the Roman salute, or oh, he didn't mean it.
There is no Roman salute. There is, as it turns out, there is no Roman salute. I'm like, all right.
People will try anything.
People try, and then they were like, "Oh yeah, he was just tapping his chest, his heart. This is tapping your chest. This is saying thank you. Like,
Yeah.
you don't. I'm not going to make the gesture that he
Right.
made,
Right.
but like, it.
But then what proves it to me? What proves it to me? Because again, I'm a person who likes to give people the benefit of the doubt. What proved it to me was today he released a statement to the Germans' political party and told them to not feel bad about the Nazi stuff anymore. Okay, now you're just telling me that you are completely.
But you are telling me. You are. I mean, I'm sorry. Look at Tesla. Somebody pull up I just closed my laptop, but like, somebody pull up Tesla's stock price today, and how bad it's tanked since since Trump got elected, since Elon Musk became a heartbeat away. And usually it's the secretary of whatchamacallit. It's this Senator pro tempore that's a heartbeat away from the presidency. But that was a salute. We're just gonna leave it at that.
It was. There's no other way
Yeah.
around that. No one can tell me any different. I saw it with my own eyes, and
Yeah,
he tried to play it off, but he knew what he was doing.
And I cannot, in good conscience, you may be able to give him a benefit of the doubt. I cannot.
I tried until I heard that statement today, and when I heard him tell the political party in Germany to not feel bad about Nazism anymore, I was like, "Nah, you can't tell me that and tell me you didn't do that on purpose."
Yeah, you
Those
can't
two
tell.
don't jive. All right, one last one. This is a funny one, and I've been having a good time with this one. When Trump was on the rally scene going into the being inaugurated, and one special band he liked to play and one special band he brought on stage, it will always and forever blow my mind that because Donald Trump couldn't get any other music cleared, from the likes of the Beatles to Bruce Springsteen to Adele to Taylor Swift to Mariah Carey
YMCA.
to whoever, to anybody, he chose the gayest damn anthem I have ever seen in my whole entire life and used it when he doesn't like gay people or transgender people or anything of the sort. So I don't really need a retort on this. I think it's just more funny than anything that the man that has tried to take anything gay or otherwise out of the lexicon and out of the society at large,
Yeah.
that he would use that anthem as his rallying cry. What say
Right.
you, my friend?
I really have nothing to say.
Okay. That's fine.
I love music. I love all kinds of music. Uh, I will say this. Okay, let me back up. If you know you're gonna not get like clearance to do to get like Springsteen or Taylor Swift or Beyonce on your there are companies out there. Artlist is one. There's a couple others where you can use samplings of music, and you can be good to go in that regard.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know necessarily if he felt the need to do that. I name checked Artlist, but there's others,
Yeah,
and
actually,
so
Flo, throw in the chat what the one is you use for the stream, because by the way, I still need to check that out. So throw that in the chat. But yeah, there are places where you can go and get copyrighted music and use it. Pay a monthly fee, and you be
yeah,
able to sample it or whatever. So
and
yeah.
that's what he could have done, but he
Well,
chose.
also, when you get cease and desist from every famous artist and their like dead relatives, like you're doing something like that
Yeah.
people don't like. So. All right, well, let's run through a few comments here because you're breaking up over there. Flo says that the ADL said it wasn't a salute. So the ADL is the Anti-Defamation League. I did hear that they did say something to this effect, but I don't care. That could easily be that they got paid off. He could have easily sent them a huge sum of money to have them say that. So that could be politically or financially motivated for them to say that. So I can't trust them. Because all those things just in political world, that's how that works. Money can make things happen. I'm sorry. I saw it with my own eyes. It was a salute. Flo, you cannot tell me that you watched that and you think anything otherwise because it was clearly a Nazi salute. They've been imprisoned without a trial for 4 years. Look, Flo, the people that did no violent crimes or the people that didn't do any cause any harm to the Capitol, the people that maybe just walked in with the rest of the crew and walked around, those people don't even deserve to be punished. I agree with you. But the people that already had criminal records, the leaders of these of some of these white supremacist groups, the people that already had felonies and other things on their records, or the people that actually caused damage within the Capitol, the people that actually hurt the cops, any of the people that beat up on that cop or put him in the door, and the guy that was hitting the cop with the flagpole, any of those people, I don't care if you've been there 4 years without trial. You go till they put you in trial. You know how many people are in jail for 20, 30 years without a trial, never get a trial? You don't care about those people, but now you care about these people. So again, if they didn't do a crime or if they didn't do anything to the Capitol that day, they deserve to be let free. If they did any crime that day or they had any prior convictions, felony, violence, whatever, they deserve to stay there until that is adjudicated, and that's the final answer to that.
And if Flo is an attorney at all, he or she should be aware that the judicial system takes a while. There are people who have been in prison who wait years to get a trial, and sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't.
And again, they would have gotten a quick trial now that they
Yeah.
had their party in office. So that
Oh, yeah,
wasn't
for
a good
sure.
that's not a good excuse.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. Here's what he wants citation from Moole. So if you can send this over to me, I'll give it to him tomorrow. But you said that he made them stop teaching Tuskegee Airmen, and he said that's not true. He says an Air Force official told the Air Force Times the videos themselves were not targeted for removal, but that BMT classes that include diversity materials were pulled and now under review for compliance.
I'll send you the NPR link that I got this from, because they've been talking about it all day on NPR. So
okay, and I think that those things need to be taught. Tuskegee Airmen, slavery, all these things need to be taught in schools and in the military. Anything that you try to hide through whitewashing or not having diversity by getting rid of DEI, you're basically just whitewashing things, and you're basically trying to keep the history of America as something that it's truly not, when you've had so many other groups and minorities and races that have helped to progress this nation to where they're at. Final comment here. He says none of the BLM protesters went to jail at all or for very long, and there was very much more violence this summer. Let me say this very loud and clear for anyone watching this show or anyone who is a fan of mine or anyone who in the future will ever want to watch anything of mine. If you ever compare a couple of, yes, and there were some protests that turned violent, some riots that police cars burned, police stations vandalized, things like that. But if you ever compare that to the Capitol, where our government and our Constitution live, those things again are not an apt comparison. One thing was done because a segment of the population, black and brown people, are systematically and brutalized by the police, and this one black man was killed in the middle of daylight in front of the whole world to see, and the world was fed up, not just in this country but in any other country. And so for the fact that the protests were to save lives of people who were unjustly harmed and sometimes murdered is not the same as trying to get in a president and reinstall him after he lost an election. Those two things are not even close to the same. I don't even care if you believe the election was rigged. That still does not give them the right to go in and cause the violence and harm that they did that day. And those two things are not comparable. And if you come to me and try to tell me that people going out and causing a little bit of harm to a couple police stations that at that point probably deserved it from all the lives that they took is the same thing as the violence that happened at the Capitol that day, all you're telling me is that you might have some racist tendencies in you. That's pretty much it. Sorry, that's the way I feel. I'm not speaking for a mole, but I'm speaking for myself. Don't like it?
Stay quiet.
Check yourself, and that goes for you too.
I'm just gonna stay quiet.
Hey, me and Flo can keep it working, but he knows how I feel about that. If you think anything about wokeness, DEI, the BLM protests, which BLM was another boogeyman word that the right used, because BLM was not even an organization. All it was just a statement that Black Lives Matter. Because in order for all lives to matter, as the GOP like to say, or the conservative like to say, if all lives are going to matter, Black lives have to matter. Brown lives have to matter. And right now in this country, they don't. When I can go out in Nashville on a weekly basis, and because I'm brown and because my name is Omar, I have so many people that are racist to me and discriminatory to me, and this happens to me on a weekly basis, then yes, we still have problems in this country. BLM was much more violent and destructive. That's not true. If you want to say that again, a couple police stations being harmed is the same as what happened in the Capitol that day, that's just not true. It's not. If you're saying a couple businesses, they shouldn't have burned down the small businesses in their own communities. I agree. But if you're going to say that the two are equal, maybe the destruction in terms of fire and loss of buildings may have been more, but the reasoning was much more justified than the reasoning ever for January 6th. And there's no argument that can be had for that. So that being said, again, hey, people are going to have their different opinions. But again, if you think that it's justified for that to happen just to try to install or reinstall a person who had lost an election just because they tried to hype you up to do that, and you can in your mind justify that that's the same as protesting thousands and hundreds of thousands of lives that have been affected by not only police brutality but lives lost to police. I can tell you myself, I have personally dealt with police brutality on me multiple times, so I can attest to the fact that it happens all the time and that it's never talked about. So all right, thank you very much for tuning in today. If you did, make sure you subscribe at Ball and Buds, BALLANDBUDS. We love all of you that tuned in. Even Flo, that's my boy. We're going live tomorrow night at 8 p.m., so it's not like I'm not going to see him tomorrow, and we're going to talk about some of these things. 8 p.m. tomorrow night, catch us at the Bottom Line Sports. We're going to talk about all the good sporting things, but today I had an amazing time with my old friend, political strategist, friend of the show, Amul, the Dr. Madan. You can catch him.
Former political strategist.
He's still my political strategist.
Okay, fine.
But you can find him on Instagram, Madan23. his personal account and his photography account, as he is an aspiring photographer now, a very good one. AM23 Photography. You see it down there on his little screen.
Not just aspiring. I'm published at this point, but thank you. I appreciate it. So,
hey, as long as I can love people, and I do love you, even though we have a difference of opinion, that's how this world should work. That we can have a difference of opinion without violence and things like that. That's how it should be. But in this, my friend, I mean, you got to rethink yourself. If you think that the justification of police killing people is the same as installing a president that lost an election, it's just not the same, my friend. It's just not. That being said, thank you again, Amul. Had a great time. We'll bring you back on probably next month or so, whenever we have some more presidential news. And yeah, thank you for tuning in.
Or if you just want to talk the NBA, that's fine. I'm cool with that.
We can do that. We can talk to the NBA in the future. So again, y'all tap in with Amul at all of his channels. Y'all make sure, again, you're subscribed to Ball and Buds. You hit that QR code up there. That'll take you there. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube as well. Join the Bottom Line Sports on Facebook. You'll be able to watch us there 8 p.m. tomorrow night. And then I'll probably be on again later this week. I'm thinking I'm going to do a banter brawls and a bravado later this week. So we'll see what happens. But if you're on Ball and Buds, you'll see us there. Any other final comments, my friend?
Pleasure to be on again, and looking forward to more of these in the future. Stay safe, stay out of trouble, please. That's all I'm gonna say.
Hey, I always try to stay out of trouble, but me and Flo may get into a little trouble tomorrow. No, I'm joking. All right, thank you, Flo, for tuning in. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Again,
take care, everybody.
Thank you very much. Y'all take care. Amul, peace out, my brother.
Peace out, man.
All right, y'all. Again, thank you for tuning in, Ball and Buds. Make sure you subscribe so that way you stay up to date with all of the content. And yeah, you see it there at Ball and Buds. Hit that like button for me. Share us in the algorithm. And yeah, we out of here till next Monday. This has been Omar, the Professor Fonseca, with the Professor's Semanalmente. Holla. 5,000.
He's with the millions.
It's that world heavyweight flow. Championship belt wrapped around my waist, yo. I got that Ric Flair figure flow. Slam you on the pavement, that's why they call me Street Pro. Create heat on beat flow. Like Jordan after the second time he three-peated, folks. Get ready, set, let's go. Fight toe to toe, release the flow created by this mic pro. Lights, camera, get low. Action packed, back to back. In fact, this monster will grow. Y'all better let him know. Man with the master plan, and you have no need to know. You came prepared, now get ready for the show.
Sports Professor. Oh, shit.
Oh, hit him with the move out
UCLA, Maryland. You see us here at the Xfinity Center. They got some stupid baby fall about to happen. We're not paying attention to that. We're paying attention to the Sports Professor. We're here. Complete domination by Lauren Betts. 22 points at the half. They just keep seeding her in the paint. He's completely dominating Maryland. Maryland, good effort on their side. Ali Kubiak, Poffenberger. Definitely getting it done for Maryland. Poffenberger, the freshman, they're looking good too. Tight game at halftime. 39-34 UCLA Bruins over the Maryland Women's Terrapins.
Yes, that was me last night at the game. That's
College Park,
my
Omar
mom
Fonseca,
took
the
this video.
professor.
So I will shout out to my producer, my director, my wonderful, beautiful mother, Maria. She was awesome there recording me yesterday at University of Maryland. Shout out to my alma mater. I do love you, even though I am and was rooting for UCLA. You know, I still love you. That being said, I wanted to stick around for a second because I had to say something that I didn't want to say in the show because I didn't want to be rude. Because just like Trick Daddy Omar loved the kids, right? We love the kids. We want to make sure the kids are having a good time. What the hell was that? This baby crawl? Did you see that baby crawl? I just yo, these babies got to be the most non-perceptive human beings in the world. I thought babies were supposed to pay attention to everything, but all these damn babies didn't move. They said go. One baby just fell on the floor, flat on her face, and started crying. The dad was like, go, go. He was all mad, and she wouldn't move. The other baby started looking good, got out there and just sat there. But the one baby, Gabby, she went out there and kicked all their asses. She went out there and said, I see mom on the other side of the court. I'm going for it. And she blasted all of them. She left them all in their dust. Gabby was the champion. The rest of those bums, the rest of those kids, man, go home and take some climbing lessons. Your parents better give you some climbing, some crawling training, because y'all are bums out here losing this race like that. Pitiful, making your parents look like they ain't trained you correctly. Shout out to Gabby who won the baby crawl, and I just wanted to put that out there. I didn't think I should say that in the middle of the show, but it is pretty funny, so I definitely wanted to get that out. And man, I got a little crazy there at the end, right? Hey, we all have a difference of opinion. Whatever you believe is what you believe, but when you come to this show, you know what you're going to get from me, and you know what I believe in. And I believe in justice and equality for all. Holla, 5,000.